welcome to VGK Today, a daily podcast providing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Thursday, April 24th, as the VGK prepare for Game 3 of their first round series with the Minnesota Wild coming up tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Time from XL Energy Center in St. Paul. The Knights will look to shake off their Game 2 loss and reclaim home ice advantage in the best-of-7 series by returning the favor of a road victory to the Wild. To help set the table for Game 3, after the break, we check in with Ashali Vise, who today has two fun conversations for us to listen in on. But first, we'll tee up her chat with Daren Millard as the pair get us ready for tonight's game. Golden Knights fans, you can experience the excitement of playoff hockey firsthand with a limited number of tickets still available at the Fortress for Game 5 coming up on Tuesday. Visit VegasGoldenKnights.com to learn more. Speaking of tickets, well, you can also check out tickets for the Vegas Nighthawks, who are back at Lee's Family Forum coming up on May 3rd and May 10th. Catch the fast-paced, family-friendly action of indoor football with tickets available at nighthawksfootball.com.
Well, good morning. It is a brand new game day, and there's no one who has a more positive outlook on Golden Knights game days than Daren Millard. So he joins us now. Daren, first and foremost, what are you expecting out of Game 3?
More crisper performance, tighter performance, more consistent performance. It was 9 minutes of a lapse in the first period, and the rest of the game was positive. But you can't mishandle and mismanage pucks the way they did and create a hole. And Darren Elliott and I had a big conversation the other night about the difference between mishandling and mismanaging. Mismanaging is you make the wrong plays. There was a little bit of that, and then there was a lot of mishandling where pucks are just bouncing off sticks and you're not sharp and plays go awry. And there was a real combination of both those things, and you end up in the same spot with both. But there's a way to be a little more optimistic after mishandling that generally they're National Hockey League players at the highest level, and they will be better.
You talked about mishandling versus mismanaging in that conversation with Darren Elliott. There's a lot of Darren Elliott-isms. I don't know if we have a name for those yet. We might have to come up with one. Any stood out to you this playoffs?
Well, there's the fourth period effect on back-to-back nights. That's at the top of the list. That's the first one that goes on a T-shirt. When you're on a back-to-back night, the team that's playing in consecutive days usually has a better first period because it's the spillover from the night before, so the fourth period effect. I don't know how scientific it is, to be honest, but it gives us something to either, when it's Vegas on a back-to-back night, build up enthusiasm, or on the other side to say, hey, be wary of this team. So it's a talking point.
Do you recall what he said about Tomas Hertl after his goal in Game 1? Was it wasn't big body, soft hands, it was along those lines?
It was brawn and skill. The combination, very rarely that you have brawn and skill in the same play. And Tomas Hertl had that in like 5 seconds. He went from like leaning on a guy's stick, almost breaking it, in one of the most epic Thor/Popeye moments in hockey, to then turning around and going bar down short side in a beautiful all-world play. And just nobody has one of those things. Like, very few people have one of those things. To have both, I'm jealous.
And you talked about the 9-minute basically lapse in Game 2 that made the difference in the game. What did you like about the Golden Knights game when things were going in their favor? Because they certainly had momentum a lot of that game.
Well, their offensive chances were quality. They had really good looks in and around the Minnesota Wild goal. I thought they had some good puck control in the second period, some good zone time in the second period. Love to see a little bit more rush opportunity. Like, Game 1 was 5-0 odd man rushes for Vegas. Game 2 was flipped with 3-zip in favor of the Minnesota Wild. So like a little more, at least balance in there at the very least, or the advantage. And defensively, actually, they give up 17 shots. They haven't surrendered 40 shots in 2 games. You look at that total And if you just are more consistent with the puck and just having better awareness or sharper with the puck, you're in a really good spot head to head. Now, you got to do a little bit more diligent defensive game aspect on the top line of Minnesota. Like that's hurting them right now. But as a whole, I don't mind their defensive game, and I'm positive about the chances that they're getting.
You mentioned Minnesota's top line. Bruce Cassidy feels that they gave them easy offense in Game 2. So don't know how fair this question is, but has anything about their game surprised you? We talked about how important it was to keep an eye on that top line going into the series. Has anything surprised you about that top line, though?
That's an unfair question, Ashley.
Unfair.
No.
I mostly just say because Bruce Cassidy felt it was easy for them, right? So maybe.
As soon as you said, this may be an unfair question, I already had my answer ready. No, I don't think anything's surprised me with them. I'm a big Matt Boldy fan. And his ability to be lengthy, big guy, long body, and also have good foot speed and hands has always impressed me. He's not afraid to go to the net. Kaprizov's as dynamic of a player as you're going to see in the National Hockey League with his speed and his skill and his hockey sense. He was out there again at the end of the game last night. He's not a defensive liability either. They trust him to be able to produce and be responsible. Maybe just the fact that Eriksson Ek and Kaprizov have been so good despite not playing a lot until late in the season, very much like what Hertl was last year. That's been more impressive than surprising from those two. And I thought Minnesota got some benefit from a couple of the tweaks that they made, including moving Ryan Hartman up in the lineup last night.
There's been a lot of good playoff hockey so far, Daren. Could you pick one other series that you have your eye on the most, that's entertained you the most to this point?
Well, the Edmonton-LA game, I think, is going to be so much fun to watch all the way through. There's already questions about Edmonton and what they're going to do with Evan Bouchard and Stuart Skinner after this year. It's one game, and what LA was able to do in Game 1 and then almost suffer an epic collapse and still be able to win. I think 7 games of that is going to be fantastic. Colorado-Dallas, I think, is a series that's headed the distance. Ottawa is a team that I'm expecting some noise from. They were good in Game 2. Game 1, they were overwhelmed against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They thought they showed some moxie in Game 2. I wouldn't be surprised if that series is even after 4 with the return to Ottawa. And Florida-Tampa, let's see what happens. That series should get nasty. So there's a few, but I don't think anything is going to top what we're going to see out of Edmonton and LA.
How does Daren Millard watch and take in playoff hockey on a Golden Knights off day?
Watch on the phone, one game on the phone and one game on the TV. And the problem I have is if I look down on the phone and I think something's happened, I use that 10-second rewind button. So I usually end up 3 minutes behind by the end of a period. And then the same thing up top on the TV. I'm always using my family can't watch with me because I'm constantly rewinding, taking a look at things. But I can't do any more than 2 games at one time. And the sound on one. I can't have the sound on both.
Can't be overstimulated.
No.
Can't be doing that. Hopefully you're getting some cuddles with the dogs while you're doing that as well. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, or we will, by the time this airs on the morning of Game 3 for the Golden Knights, we'll know how the second game between LA and Edmonton pans out. So thanks so much for this, Daren.
You know what you have to do with the dogs around is you're constantly getting up, letting them out or in, and then I've missed a chance, and then I got to rewind again. See?
Come on, guys.
Then I got to turn off my notifications because
the Twitter notifications can be problematic.
Happening, and I don't want to know what's happening. So it's a confounding existence for me.
It is, but so worth it for playoff hockey, Daren. Thank you for doing this, and back to you, Justin.
Thank you, Ashley. And, I feel Daren's pain there, trying to jumble all these games at once. I wouldn't change the first round of the playoffs for anything, right? It's the best time of the year overall, but that first round especially is so fun. But sometimes that screen real estate gets difficult to manage with all those games on at once. Fun, but difficult at the same time. As Daren spoke about there, he is keeping a close eye on that Kings and Oilers series, and since that series did continue last night, let's take a peek around the Stanley Cup playoff action from Wednesday night, and we will start with that game. We'll work backwards and start with the nightcap where LA hosted the Edmonton Oilers in Game 2. Now, much like Game 1, the Kings raced out to a large lead in this game, but unlike Game 1, the Oilers just did not have a response, as the Kings easily won this one 6-2. Brant Clark struck first for LA in the opening period before Quinton Byfield and Andrei Kuzmenko added tallies in the middle frame to make it a 3-0 Kings lead. Now, the Oilers did have a small comeback in them as goals from Leon Draisaitl and Victor Arvidsson made it a 3-2 game, but the Kings got to work in that final frame, getting 2 goals from Adrian Kempe and 1 from Anze Kopitar to chase Edmonton goalie Stuart Skinner and grab the win for the 2-0 series lead. In Denver, the Avalanche and the Stars met in Game 3 of their first-round series, fresh off a Colin Blackwell OT winner for Dallas in Game 2. Now, this game had much less in the way of scoring than the Edmonton-LA game. Val Nichushkin scored for Colorado in the first, and Jamie Benn tipped home a power play goal in the third, and we went to overtime tied just 1-1. Just before overtime, though, Mason Marchment took a 4-minute high sticking penalty for hitting Brock Nelson up high with just 39 seconds to go in regulation. And after the Avs failed to score in regulation, you figured that vaunted power play with the likes of McKinnon, Makar, Natchez, all those big names, you figured they could find a way to end the game in overtime with about 3.5 minutes of power play time to work with. But that just wasn't the case. Dallas killed off the entire 4-minute penalty into the start of overtime, and just a few moments later, got a goal from one of their veteran leaders, as Tyler Seguin made it back-to-back OT winners for the Stars to give them a 2-1 series lead. And boy, the Avalanche have to be lamenting the fact that they went 0 for 6 on the power play in this one. They had their chances, they just couldn't convert. And it was Marchment who made the play to drive the puck deep into the zone on the eventual OT winner. Made up for his penalty in a big way by getting that primary assist on the goal, while Mikko Rantanen grabbed the secondary helper in his playoff return to Ball Arena. Now, the first game of the day took place in the nation's capital, as the Capitals hosted the Canadiens for Game 2. We didn't get any scoring in this one until the second period, and when we did, it was the Habs drawing first blood, with Christian Dvorak making it a 1-0 lead early in the middle frame. But Washington would quickly find their footing, getting goals exactly 1 minute apart from Connor McMichael and Dylan Strome to make it 2-1 less than 5 minutes into the period. Montreal fought tooth and nail for that equalizer over the final 35 minutes or so, but they just couldn't beat Logan Thompson. And McMichael, doing his best Brett Howden impression from Vegas's Game 1, scored into the empty net with under 2 seconds to go in the game to make it a 3-1 final and a 2-0 series lead for the Capitals. Fun night of hockey, and another overtime in the books in the Stanley Cup playoffs as the fun rolls on today with Vegas and Minnesota in Game 3. Speaking of Game 3, after the break, we'll hear from Ashley yet again and her second chat for today's show as she speaks with Kloey Carpenter of the VGK marketing team about upcoming watch parties this week. Golden Knights fans, the official VGK mobile app is the easiest way to keep up with the team. Plus, fans with the app will have a chance to win tickets to select playoff games. Download it today for Apple or Android, the VGK official mobile app. You can also stream all the first-round games on Nighttime Plus on your phone, tablet, or smart TV for just $19.99 with the All In for the Realm offer. Visit VegasGoldenKnights.com for details.
And Justin, we are joined by Kloey Carpenter, who is the Vegas Golden Knights Director of Marketing and Brand. And Kloey, the watch parties kick off tonight. So curious what you can share about, first of all, tonight's and then as well as Saturday's.
Yeah, for Game 3, we're going to be at Boulevard Pool at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. We have amazing giveaways from player face fans to bracelets, phone wallets, and of course, rally towels. The doors open at 5 p.m. The party kicks off at 5:30, and then puck drop will be at 6 p.m. We have appearances from VGK cast. The Nightline will be there, Vivas, and we're really excited to party at the Cosmopolitan.
What's it like, these watch parties, when you do them when they're set at a cool location like this, outside of the pool? That's something that I don't think anyone else around the league has the luxury of doing.
No, for sure. I think it's also fun because part of the game is played on a marquee. So there's people that are probably driving down the strip going, what is going on? And of course, no one in Minnesota is doing that, respectfully to Minnesota.
I think it's actually going to be rainy in Minnesota. So.
Exactly. So at least we get to be outside. It's family friendly, so everyone gets to be there, which is nice because there's some locations in Las Vegas that you can't take your family to, but we do try to make sure that we have family friendly locations, and luckily Boulevard Pool is one of those places.
How would you describe the atmosphere at these watch parties?
I think we get some of our biggest fans at these, and they bring the energy, our staff brings the energy, and of course the cast is going to night in and night out. It's a very different atmosphere, but it's playoff hockey, so you're going to get that wherever you go, but especially at our watch parties.
And what's on the schedule for those who want other Golden Knights fans to watch the game with on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, on Saturday, we're actually going to be in Henderson at Lee's Family Forum. So we get kind of a mini fortress feel there. We'll have performances on the field. Well, actually the court, it'll be the throw court, but we'll have our vehicles there, our Lamborghini, the world's fastest ice resurfacer. We have the same giveaways, if not more. We'll be giving away tickets to Game 5 on Tuesday for fans, and we're really excited. That's one of our favorite locations for families.
And you mentioned Game 5. We're guaranteed to be coming home for a Game 5. So just curious, what's been your favorite activation you guys have done so far from the home games, and what you most look forward to with at least one more home game in the first round coming up?
I mean, the gold towels are always a favorite. We have an amazing designer, Stephanie, who creates all of those, and we get to change the art. But something so Vegas is our tattoos with Revolt Tattoos. We've tattooed 28 people for Game 1 and then 20 people for Game 2. Excited to see how many we'll get for Game 5. But then also for people that aren't willing to do a tattoo, we have face painting, and they've been doing a couple hundred up to 400 each night, which has been exciting. I think someone even got Aiden Hill's mask painted on their head.
So some talented artists there. And
For
just
sure.
to clarify, because some people I think don't know about the tattoos, these are real tattoos. These are not airbrush tattoos. People are going and getting VGK logo tatted on them.
Yep, no, these are real tattoos, Revolt Tattoos. They're founder is from Ink Master. He was a winner on there, season 3, I believe, Joey Hamilton. So you can get the primary, the secondary, or just VGK tatted on you.
Amazing. You guys do an incredible job. You definitely make everything as Vegas as it can be, and good luck this week. Have fun.
Thank you so much.
Well, whether the games are at T-Mobile Arena or across the country, Vegas knows how to make things fun for the fans. And of course, more great stuff coming up throughout this series for both home and away games, thanks to Kloey and the great Golden Knights marketing team. That'll just about wrap things up for today's show. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to VGK Today. And be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back every day throughout the Knights' 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run with new episodes. Tune in tomorrow as Dave Gosher and Shane Knighty join the show to recap Game 3 between the Knights and the Wild. Justin Russo signing off for VGK Today.